breastfeeding in the region if we are to achieve the World Health Assembly target of 50% exclusive breastfeeding by 2025 and contribute to reach the SDGs targets by 2030. The question is, how can we achieve this together? In response, and as you can see on your screen, Alive and Thrive, UNICEF and WHO created the Stronger with Breastmilk Only initiative, an innovative advocacy and social and behavior change initiative that aims to catalyze much needed change towards improving exclusive breastfeeding rates in the region. Next. Let's listen to our short signature video to learn more about the initiative. I really hope that the video will work for everyone. If not, we will share with you the links so that you can have access to the video after the webinar. Let's discover the video together.
There is a wealth of potential in every community, in every nation. To reach this potential, a community must prioritize the nutrition, growth, and health of its youngest members. Give children the best start from the earliest moments of life. Nature provides the best way of doing this. Breast milk. Breast milk is the safest, healthiest, and best source of food and water for babies in their first 6 months of life. It alone contains all the water and nutrients a baby needs. Yet, in West and Central Africa, 7 out of 10 babies are given something else in addition to breast milk, such as herbal teas, animal milk, honey, or soft foods. In most cases, water is given because it is believed that it benefits babies. This must change. Breast milk is unique. As a baby's first vaccine, it protects babies from disease and increases their chances of survival. It strengthens the bond between mothers and babies and stimulates the development of babies' brains and bodies. Breastfeeding benefits mothers' health too. It helps them recover after childbirth, delays menstruation, and thus helps space births and reduces the risk of cancers later in life. The Stronger with Breastmilk Only campaign promotes giving babies breast milk only on demand day and night and stopping the practice of giving water from the moment of birth through the first 6 months of life in West and Central Africa. There is enough water in breast milk for babies, even in hot or dry climates. The solution is to give breast milk only. It can be done. Most mothers are able to produce all the breast milk their babies need. Family members can encourage, help, and make sure a breastfeeding mother eats and drinks enough. Trained healthcare workers can counsel a mother when she has questions or faces challenges. Businesses can create time and space so that working mothers can make sure their babies receive breast milk. Policymakers can ensure that there are policies that protect and promote breastfeeding. We can make sure babies are given breast milk only from the moment of birth and for the first 6 months of life. No water, other liquids or foods. Together, we can provide our children with the strongest and healthiest start to life.
Great. I hope that you really have enjoyed this nice video and all these smiling faces. As you have seen in the video, the Stronger with Breastmilk Only initiative specifically calls for increased attention and funding at regional and national levels, but also calls for the design, implementation, and monitoring of national evidence-informed strategic advocacy and SBC strategies, as well as regional and national partnership building across multiple sectors and types of organization. You have also seen in the video that the initiative aims to stimulate change actions at various levels of influence to achieve sustainable change. And in order to guide our action, we developed a framework for change, which you can see on your screen. This framework lists our main advocacy asks at regional level, and the short, medium, and longer-term changes which are expected. You will see that the advocacy ask echo the Global Breastfeeding Collective 7 calls to action. It is important to note that this framework for change places emphasis on the integration of the initiative into national programs for sustainability. The initiative should not be considered a standalone initiative. Integrating the initiative into national programs will facilitate rapid scale-up and sustainability of the desired changes. Now that I have presented the initiative, I will focus on what can we do and what's been done so far in the region. As part of the development of the initiative, you may already know that we produce toolkits which discuss the strategies to be implemented and also provide useful guidance and key steps to follow to design the initiative at country level. I invite you to read the implementation guidance, which is showcased on the left of your screen. This document gives strategic guidance and tools to design, implement, and monitor a national initiative. And the document also suggests regional advocacy and communication products, including written and audiovisual resources, to use when adapting the initiative at national level. This guidance also presents the 4 programmatic approaches the initiative uses to trigger these changes. The first one is partnerships. The initiative relies on strong partnerships across sectors and organizations and should be led by national governments to accelerate positive change. The second programmatic approach is strategic advocacy. The initiative aims to strengthen the protection, promotion, and support of breastfeeding through legislations and strong policies, including, for example, maternity protection and regulating the marketing of breast milk substitutes. The third pillar is social and behavior change. The initiative seeks to stimulate long-term social and behavior changes at individual, family, community, health systems, and society levels by implementing SBCC's activities. And the last one is monitoring and evaluation, as well as knowledge management. Let's go to the next slide. The guidance I was talking about in the previous slide also emphasizes the importance of the social ecological model, which you can see on your screen. The model has different levels of which you may have recognized in the framework for change I have presented before. The model helps to conceptualize the forces that facilitate and challenge decisions about exclusive breastfeeding. It shows that mothers and other caregivers of babies below age of 6 months are at the center, with various layers of social influences that affect their feeding practices. As you can see on your screen, this model underlines the need to act at different levels if we want to protect, promote, and support exclusive breastfeeding efficiently. In order to know more about what can be done at country level, I also invite you to read another document which you can see on your screen. And this document is about how to design a national Stronger with Breastmilk Only initiative. The document is presented, the cover page of the document is presented on your screen. The document describes a 5-step methodology for designing the initiative at national or subnational levels, and it presents how to develop a strategic advocacy plan which targets leaders, policymakers, and program managers, and also a national and social and behavior change strategy targeting families, but also communities, healthcare providers, and the society in general. The 5 steps are described on the right of your screen, and you can see that the first one is to understand the situation of the problem, and then we need to design SBCC and advocacy interventions, then develop messages and tools. The step 4 is about delivering, and step 5 is about monitoring and adjusting. All those steps should, of course, be tailored to each context. Now that you know more about what can be done, I'm also very pleased to present on behalf of the Alive and Thrive WHO and UNICEF team where we stand and the process we have gone through at regional level since 2018. As you can see on the left of your screen, we have started in 2018 with a quantitative and qualitative data analysis, which triggered the pre-design and preparation. In 2019, we focused on in-depth analysis of the situation and determinants and the development of the regional strategy. These were followed by the regional launch in November, and some of you were maybe in Abidjan for this high-level event. This year, in 2020, we have focused on the design and finalization of the package of advocacy, SBCC, and toolkits, including, of course, the adaptation to the COVID-19 context as necessary. We are also pleased to see that the implementation has started in various countries, including with 5 recent launches at national level, as well as a total of 17 countries engaged so far. In 2021 and beyond, we are looking forward to working together to ensure that the initiative is adapted and delivered at national and subnational levels, with a strong focus on monitoring and adjusting as we go along. Documentation and learning will also remain a priority for us. It will also be important to connect and expand the initiative with other important agendas, such as the First Foods agenda, which focus on everything related to complementary feeding in order to better cover the first years of life. As you can see on this map, there are a lot of little blue dots, which shows that the initiative has triggered a regional momentum for breastfeeding, with about 17 countries engaged so far, as I was saying. Countries are all at different levels of implementation, and we will know more about that in the next presentation. But I just wanted to say that in addition to the resources I have presented, a series of tools were also developed by Alive and Thrive, UNICEF, and WHO to support governments and partners in adapting the initiative to their national context. These resources are all available on the microsite and will be presented in more details by Nathalie. Nathalie, over to you for the next presentation.
Thank you, Anne-Sophie, and good afternoon or good morning, everyone. So my name is Nathalie Likhite, and I'm the Social and Behavioral Change Advisor for Alive and Thrive's West Africa Initiative. And it's my pleasure to show you in more detail the resources and tools that have been developed as part of the regional Stronger with Breastmilk Only campaign. I've put my video on just for a few moments to say hello to everyone. Very happy that you could join us for this webinar. Okay. Up. Let's see. There we go. So I'd like to begin by presenting the Stronger with Breastmilk Only website, which is located at www.breastmilkonly.com. The website provides an overview of the initiative, access to resources and tools, as well as news and updates on the initiative. as it's being implemented regionally and in countries. The website can be consulted in 2 languages, English and French, and you can see here on the upper right-hand corner by clicking on Français, you can reach all materials and resources, also in French. All of these tools are available for your use and should be, of course, tailored to your country's unique context. So now I'd like to feature the resources that have been developed in different sets of resources. So as Anne-Sophie presented, 2 toolkits have been developed. They can be downloaded directly from the website. Both offer important information and guidance for designing and planning national Stronger with Breastmilk Only strategic interventions tailored to your country's context. The first offers evidence-informed strategic guidance from a regional perspective. The second provides step-by-step guidance on how to design the strategic interventions in support of national Stronger with Breastmilk Only initiatives using a social and behavioral change approach. Both are available in Word and InDesign files. There are a number of tools that have been developed to raise awareness of the initiative. An infographic, a call to action outlining what decision and policymakers, program managers, health workers, communities, and families can do to protect, promote, and support exclusive breastfeeding. There's a PowerPoint presentation which can be adapted, a social media package with key messages as well as digital assets. The research brief that describes the key findings from a qualitative literature review of resources from the 24 countries and which was used to guide us in developing the Stronger with Breastmilk Only regional strategy. A video, which was just shared, as well as a 14-minute podcast, which interviews breastfeeding experts from the region, as well as breastfeeding mothers, and introduces the initiative. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can see the first page of the infographic. In addition, the regional team has produced 4 advocacy briefs that were developed to support advocacy efforts around 4 specific areas: improving access to skilled breastfeeding counseling, enforcing regulations to protect breastfeeding, increasing funding for breastfeeding, and a general brief on giving breastmilk only, a guidance for policy and program managers. All 4 advocacy briefs echo the calls to action of the Global Breastfeeding Collective. Additionally, there are 2 tools to educate. The first is a fact sheet on evidence of giving breast milk only for the first 6 months of life. Breast milk, the only source of water and food babies need for the first 6 months of life. It also provides some guidance on key messages. The second fact sheet focuses on breast milk expression, storage, and feeding, and gives information program implementers can use to introduce this strategy as a means to support exclusive breastfeeding, particularly for breastfeeding women who work or study. A number of tools have been created to support social and behavioral change communication efforts. So there are a series of counseling cards created with visuals and interpersonal communication guidance to be used by health workers in health facilities and in communities to provoke dialogue and discussion with mothers, fathers, and other family members, such as grandmothers, around key Stronger with Breastmilk Only messages. These messages are intended to complement what has already been made available in the community infant and young child feeding counseling package. So card 1 focuses on early initiation of breastfeeding. Start breastfeeding immediately within an hour of life to give baby the healthiest start in life. Card 2 addresses issues around quality or perceptions of quality of breast milk. Its main message is breast milk contains all the food and water babies need in the first 6 months of life. Cards 3 and 4 speak to the risks of giving water. Giving water can make baby sick. Giving water replaces milk and makes baby miss essential food. Card 5 addresses the barrier of not enough breast milk. The more the baby suckles, the more breast milk the mother produces. And because breastfeeding is not a one-woman job, card 6 speaks to everyone in the family, community, and nation will benefit from stronger babies who get breast milk only, no water. So other social and behavioral change communication tools are also available, but maybe I'll just go back to the counseling cards for one more moment. As with the community IYCF counseling cards, these are generic images that were developed based on the findings from the formative research, and they were pre-tested in a number of countries, but it's important that I emphasize that when adapting the Stronger with Breast Milk Only initiative to your country's context, whether this be nationally or subnationally, that some pre-testing happen to make sure that these visuals and key messages are tailored to your unique needs. So other tools that are made available for social and behavioral change communication are and intended for awareness raising and dialogue building are destined for community radio. The radio guide that is available describes 3 community radio activities that engage audiences and aim to trigger discussions and action. These 3 products are Vox Pops, or Voice of the People, mini dramas that play out real life situations relative to giving breast milk only, no water, and field reports. 3 mini dramas are proposed and which can be used to support dissemination of Stronger with Breast Milk Only messages. They, again, as with the counseling cards, should be adapted to your context through pre-testing. In addition to that, a radio jingle has also been recorded as an identifier of the regional initiative. So since the initiative was launched, there are a number of resources that are available thanks to its implementation, both at regional and national level. And I'd like to speak just briefly about some of these. The first is a 5-part series, which was published in Le Monde Afrique in August 2020 for World Breastfeeding Week, and which highlights the Stronger with Breast Milk Only initiative. The first article provides a general overview of the initiative, and this is followed by 4 feature articles, each focusing on one country, and each of which discuss situations and obstacles around exclusive breastfeeding in Burkina Faso, Senegal, Cameroon, and Nigeria. These are resources that countries can also use to make a call for change. And the series has been translated into English and are available on Alive and Thrive's website. In addition, as countries have implemented the initiative, there are a number of tools that have been produced and which are adaptations of which offer adaptations of the regional resources. So the government of Burkina Faso launched Stronger with Breast Milk Only in June 2020 and adapted many of these tools to meet their advocacy and awareness raising objectives. And the team also conducted a number of activities in support of the initiative, including subnational launches and awareness raising meetings with traditional and religious leaders. A national strategy and operational plan have been crafted, and funding for implementation has been mobilized through the World Bank Power of Nutrition. So the song you may have heard when you joined this webinar is a song crafted as part of Niger's launch of the Stronger with Breast Milk Only initiative. Niger launched the initiative in August this year and engaged musicians appealing to different types of audiences to disseminate breast milk only, no water messages. Niger is in the process of creating a national strategy and operational plan for the initiative in view of mobilizing funding and for national level implementation in 2021. Additionally, just to speak to 2 more countries, Ghana launched the initiative as part of an umbrella campaign to promote infant and young child feeding called Start Right, Feed Right. And Liberia launched the initiative during World Breastfeeding Week 2020 campaign. There are more countries that have also launched, as Anne-Sophie mentioned. I just wanted to give you and feature some of them. More information can be provided on request. So while all of these regional resources are available on the breastmilkonly.com website, I wanted to point out that there is also a Dropbox folder that hosts all of these materials. And the folders are populated on an ongoing basis as countries implement the initiative and new resources, whether regional or national, are developed. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see that the resources in this repository are organized by language. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that folders have been created categorizing resources depending on their theme or use. You may notice that there's a PowerPoint presentation on the Stronger with Breast Milk Only in the context of COVID-19 that is also accessible to countries. And the link is provided on this site. Finally, to receive news and updates on Stronger with Breast Milk Only communicated through the website, we are inviting you and encouraging you to join our WhatsApp group. You can do this by two ways, either by using the QR code, which is on the right of your screen, or using the link, which is provided on the left-hand side below. By joining, you'll be able to stay up to date on what's happening around the initiative in the region through WhatsApp notifications. So we anticipate sending 2 to 3 notifications by month. And again, this will really be to feature news and updates on how Stronger with Breast Milk Only initiative is being implemented across the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Anne-Sophie and Nathalie, for walking us through. I think there's a wealth of resources that are available. I mean, Anne-Sophie started us sort of thinking about the one thing that we would, with very, very good precision, begin to deal with in terms of why exclusive breastfeeding does not happen. And that is the children, the babies who are given water. So it's a nice, unique entry point for us to support breastfeeding. And of course, with that, we can also promote other, reducing the incidences of the interruption of exclusive breastfeeding with other foods that are given aside from water. Thank you very much. And of course, I can't go through and re-describe all the resource materials that are available. People are asking for the link and we've been posting it. So if you haven't seen it properly, just keep asking and let's make sure that before you leave the call, you have access to that link. So now we are going to move on to questions and answers. We have been responding to some questions in the Q&A, and I note that there is a very interesting observation by Judy Kanawati here, that she says, when in the Gambia developed the baby-friendly community initiative in the 90s, there was no term in the local language for exclusive breastfeeding. So they invented a new word, which translated was perfect breastfeeding. And I'm not sure if this is a problem in other countries, but there are, I think, terms in many languages that describe exclusive breastfeeding. It's a question of being very creative and finding out how we can overcome those barriers. So I don't think it's possible for participants to speak in. Our more tech-savvy colleagues could help me answer that differently if that happens to be the case. So we need to rely on your typing your questions in and us responding. But I think there are some specific questions also on from Felicity, who is a world leader in breastfeeding advocacy. So it's really, we're very honored that she should be here with us, Felicity. You asked, is there a counseling card on positioning and attachment of the baby at the breast, which is fundamental to ensure that the baby gets a good supply of milk and to prevent and overcome common problems. So I will bounce that off to either Nathalie or Manisha to respond. Nat?
Sorry, hi, Adelaide. Yes, thank you so much. And thank you, Felicity, for your question. So I'll answer in this on behalf of Manisha and myself, I suppose. The question is there a counseling card on positioning and attachment of the baby at the breast?
Yeah.
Yes, so this counseling card already exists within the community IYCF counseling package. Therefore, the counseling cards which I have just featured and presented to you all are additional cards that are meant to complement existing counseling cards that are made available to countries and regions, and with a specific focus on breast milk only, no water. So my short answer is yes, there is one available, and it is available through the community IYCF counseling package.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And, you know, I think another thing that we welcome is for people to please go take a walk through the park on the microsite, see what we have and give us some ideas of how we could do things better, be more responsive to what needs to be done for us to ensure that, you know, we get the right support and right help to the mothers. So, and to those that want to support the initiative in breastfeeding. I'm looking at the questions. Manisha, have you spotted any question that I have not seen that we need to answer? Please, over to you, Manisha.
Hi, sorry about that. So I've been responding to questions in the chat box. There have been a couple of questions related to the links with the reproductive, maternal, newborn, and child health programs, as well as quality of care. So I did want to just respond to that, even though I have typed an answer as well. So this initiative does, in addition to advocacy, the social and behavior change component strongly emphasizes our links with the health system and changing the practices of health providers as well as community members. And here I wanted to just highlight that we do work with countries to strengthen breastfeeding counseling within the reproductive, maternal, newborn, and child health programs, and really look at building the skills and practices of health providers to provide timely breastfeeding counseling, especially during the antenatal care and the postnatal care periods. So, in summary, yes, we do try to work very closely with the RM and SAGE programs.
Okay.
I think, yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. I have spotted two other questions. I'm going to bounce off to our colleagues in UNICEF, and I would welcome a response from either Anne-Sophie or Simeon, who is online, the regional advisor for nutrition UNICEF in Western Central Africa. There's a question here from Brian on companies who produce milk products for babies. What partnerships do we have to do? And then another question, what are your plans for sustainability? Exclusive breastfeeding rates drop when project funding disappears. Unfortunate but true. So what are our plans for sustainability? So this is a brainstorming question because we just don't know what's going to make them drop. So can we have recourse to Simeon for a response on the companies, and are we going to go into partnership with those companies? And I think Anne-Sophie, you had already mentioned something about sustainability, so I'll let you come back to that. Simeon, over to you, please. Simeon? Okay, I don't think we can.
Hello, hello.
There you are. Okay, please.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone, depending on where you are. Thank you, Adelheid, for calling upon me to respond to this question on potential partnership with companies that produce breast milk. I should start by saying that we are promoting breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding, because the evidence shows that it is the best food for the baby. And our intent here is not really to try to do any replacement by human milk, breast milk, by any product. So we are also working on the code of marketing of breast milk substitute, supporting countries to ensure that they protect and they create an environment that would be favorable for exclusive breastfeeding. And all this is part of the Stronger Breast Milk initiative. So in a nutshell, our response to this question is that for now, we are not partnering with companies that are producing breast milk substitute within this particular initiative of Stronger Breast Milk.
Okay, in a campaign to promote breastfeeding, I don't think they are a very comfortable partner because their interests are other. So I think their best contribution is to respect what is spelled out in the Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes and all the other resolutions that have come through to plug the holes that were found in the application of that. We don't have much time left in this segment of the webinar, but Brian suggests, and it has just slipped out because of an additional question. Brian suggests a slogan: human milk for human cows. Human milk for human, cow's milk for babies, cow only. So perhaps that would be an additional slogan to consider. There's also an additional question that I think could be responded to by either Manisha or Nat on the SBC materials. Are the communication cards already there? And if they're not, when do we expect them? And then there's a question that about human milk banking form part of our plan, or is it planned to do so? Obviously, with a view to supporting breastfeeding, not replace it. That is not part of this right away, but we know initiatives that are promoting that, and of course with the very carefully managed. So we'll continue to respond to the questions in the Q&A, but we need to move on so that we don't steal the time from the next activity, which is making it possible. Now we want to see about how to make this possible at country level. So again, I'm going to hand back to Anne-Sophie and Nathalie to take us through part 2 on making this possible at country level. Colleagues, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Adelheid. So I will cover the first part of the presentation. The first part of the presentation will focus on coordination and partnerships. And the second part will be Nathalie's presentation, which will focus on potential approaches and tools which can be used not only to strengthen partnerships and coordination, but also to build capacities and learn together as we go along. So as you may know, the initiative echoes the call to action of the Global Breastfeeding Collective to increase investment and policy change to support breastfeeding. And as we know, this goal requires strong advocacy and coordinated action at the global, regional, national, and subnational levels in order to meet the global 2025 target. And the initiative also relies, or should rely, on strong partnerships across sectors and organizations and should be led by national governments to accelerate positive change. And we need to address all those specificities as we implement the initiative. So this is the reason why today we are talking about partnerships and coordination. And as we talk about partnerships, I would like to emphasize the fact that we need to expand and catalyze those partnerships. It is important as part of the design of the initiative to identify key partners to be involved in the process. And the diagram on your screen describes potential actors to be involved across multiple sectors and types of organizations to rapidly achieve programmatic scale and sustainability. So you will see, for example, that we have, of course, governments and regional economic institutions in the driver's seat, and those institutions can have the support of development partners, associations and networks, as well as the private sector. This list is not exhaustive and needs to be adapted to each context. However, it clearly demonstrates the complexity of the dynamic, as well as its richness when partnerships are catalyzed with a strong coordination mechanism in place. Talking about coordination mechanisms, we are very pleased to note that they are gradually put in place at all levels. As you will see on the left of your screen, there is a coordination and partnerships mechanism at the regional level between UNICEF, Alive and Thrive, and WHO, and gradually other partners to join. On the right of your screen, you will see that similarly, coordination and partnerships mechanisms are established in countries under the leadership of governments. And as you can see in the middle of the screen, the initiative also offers the opportunity for a strong and rich multi-country coordination and South-South cooperation mechanism with up to 24 countries in West and Central Africa, all at different stages of implementation, but working towards a common objective. The question is, how do we make the most of this great momentum and ensure that we grow together to reach our common objective? The second part of this webinar is an opportunity to gather your feedback on this question and continue to co-create this strong regional Stronger with Breastmilk Only platform. Over to you, Nathalie, for the next part of the presentation.
Thank you, Anne-Sophie. So I'm here again, and I'd like to present to you all some ideas about how to put into place a regional mechanism to help us together coordinate, follow, and share lessons from Stronger with Breastmilk Only implementation. As Anne-Sophie presented, there are 17 countries that have expressed interest in implementing the initiative, and 7 countries have already launched Stronger with Breastmilk Only. The regional coordination and knowledge sharing mechanism would be a great way to stay up to date and share both challenges countries face as well as successes. When speaking about a regional mechanism, I just wanted to underline that it implies that a task force or a national coordination mechanism has already been set up, building on what already exists. So whether this be IYCF committee or subcommittee, it is important that at national level that a group come together to lead, reflect on, adapt, and deliver the initiative for the country. So in terms of the regional coordination of the initiative, we're proposing 3 options which we would really appreciate your feedback on. There'll be a poll later on to collect your feedback on these options. And all three options would be organized by the regional partnership represented by WHO, UNICEF, and Alive and Thrive. Here are the three options. The first option is to simply have quarterly follow-up meetings, which would last, say, approximately 2 hours. The second option would be to have relatively shorter quarterly meetings and accompany these with quarterly reports using a very simple templates that country teams can fill out of 1 page maximum, just to provide an update of where each country is at. The third option would be to expand the idea of a meeting and make them into webinars on a quarterly basis to share updates and showcase experience from specific countries in order to foster cross-country learning and catalyze action. Countries would also be asked, of course, to submit quarterly reports consisting of a simple 1-page template to give updates on progress. Another tool we are proposing to monitor progress at regional level and among countries is a type of online dashboard, which would track where individual countries are at in their progress towards designing and implementing the Stronger with Breastmilk Only campaign. So as you can see in this table, you would have countries, for example, a very, very simple table showing by country where each country is in the step towards designing, implementing, monitoring, and adjusting Stronger with Breastmilk Only initiatives using a social and behavioral change design process. This could be made available online where countries could fill in on their own where they're at. And could be also a tool to help us define, okay, depending on where countries are at, which countries should be showcased to share some of their experiences depending on what those experiences and lessons learned are. So again, I invite you from a country perspective, for countries who are participating in the webinar, to provide your feedback on which option you prefer, and this will be available and this will be possible during the poll. Okay, now for another presentation, which we would very much like your feedback on. And this is a concept which we're working on, which the regional team is working on. And it's also a concept for sharing and learning together in the form of a blended learning program for improved maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. This program is in development, and so therefore somewhat, well, largely undefined. It's quite innovative. It's quite an innovative program which we would like to build, provided that there is interest at a country and regional level. And if there is, we're looking to identify presently a cohort of 4 to 6 French-speaking countries to participate. So what is it? The blended learning program is intended to create a learning environment for countries to design and plan evidence-informed strategic interventions to improve maternal, infant, and young child nutrition at national level using a social and behavioral change lens and design process. By blended, it means that it will combine learning both real-time and asynchronously. The program would also adopt an approach of learning by doing and aim to build knowledge and skills by designing genuine strategic activities that countries can use to improve maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. Countries participating in the blended learning program would focus on a choice of 3 thematic areas. These are areas which are currently promoted through regional initiatives. The first is Stronger with Breastmilk Only, which, as was just presented, focuses on exclusive breastfeeding and includes early initiation of breastfeeding and the code. The second thematic area is under the First Foods Regional Initiative to improve child dietary diversity. And the third is on maternal nutrition, including integration of nutrition into reproductive, maternal, newborn, and child health platforms. What's common to all three thematic areas is the use of a social and behavioral change approach to improve maternal, infant, and young child nutrition indicators. There are three general learning objectives, or more, I should say, the general learning objectives would be situated at three levels. First, at an individual level, there's a capacity building objective whereby each participant, by the end of the learning program, will have improved knowledge and will have improved knowledge and skills in social and behavioral change and maternal, infant, and young child nutrition concepts. From a programmatic point of view, national teams would come together to design evidence-informed social and behavioral change strategies and interventions to improve MICIN in their countries. And from a regional point of view, we've also included a regional knowledge and sharing objective, which is very important, and the sense that countries, national teams from several countries come together, learn together, share experiences, and exchange lessons learned from both success and challenges that they faced. So how would the blended learning program take place? Here I've put a very simple schematic that gives some of the definitions of this concept and give you an indication of how this would work, practically speaking. First of all, there would need to be country engagement and national teams with a clear objective in mind. As mentioned, the national team would need to be designated for participation in the blended learning, and may want to consider joining with an implementing partner or perhaps a consultant to help with completing the tasks that are required during the blended learning program. Participation would be defined over a certain period of time and with a level of effort of a number of hours each week. These have yet to be defined. And the overall learning process would follow the social and behavioral change design process. In terms of methodologies for learning, at each step, learners would alternate between virtual and face-to-face activities. And at an individual level, individual learning would take place through e-modules on social and behavioral change and maternal, infant, and young child nutrition concepts. There would also be a virtual platform where coaching can take place from facilitators, and exchanges can also take place between teams. The completion of the design of strategic interventions and a budgeted plan are what would mark the completion of the program. And finally, we're envisioning that this will lead to certification upon completion according to certain criteria and standards of learning and of completing the activities. So as I mentioned, we're making a call to French-speaking countries who are interested in designing, implementing, and monitoring a first an social and behavioral change strategic interventions in the context of maternal, in the context of Stronger with Breastmilk Only, of first foods, or of maternal nutrition. And this is the timeline that we envision, with the preparation phase that has been ongoing, is currently ongoing up until end of January. The design phase wherein we will be working together to design this program and really go into a lot more detail, both in terms of its contents, the process, and the engagement that's required. This will take place between February and June 2021. The first cohort we expect would be implemented between July and September 2021, and with ongoing monitoring and evaluation throughout the course and afterwards, so that we can really take lessons learned from the first cohort and make adjustments for future courses. Sorry, my dog is barking. And I think that comes to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. Over to you, Adelheid.
Okay, superb. Thank you very much, Nathalie. Thank you very much, Anne-Sophie, for giving us this overview of what is in the making, but that needs to be made to respond to the needs of the countries and the implementers. We will, I was looking at the Q&A, but I don't see any answers specifically addressing this one. There is, let's see. I don't see any questions immediately that address the blended learning and that outline that you presented to us. So while we're waiting for those questions to come up, I have a comment again from Brian saying behavior. We should really zero in on the father's decision of the family, since other countries, the decision makers, and therefore father should be number one in targeted breastfeeding initiative. With the slogan, good fathering is part of breastfeeding. I agree fully with that. So let's see how much we can take on board those very innovative approaches to this. Okay. One of the elements of stakeholders involved in promoting exclusive breastfeeding, this is from Sanjay Chowali, has been the village support group. As a health promotion official, would be interested to know, in how ensuring exclusive breastfeeding can be realized through enforcement. Do we have? I think this one is mostly we're leaning more through advocacy and information sharing and facilitation rather than enforcement, because enforcement would be very much something that governments are encouraged to do once they have in place the code, a national code and regulations for its implementation, because that gives them the framework in which they can enforce that the best practices in breastfeeding. But of course, once that is in place, then the community groups like what you mentioned here, the village support group, can be part of the watch for when violations are taking place. And they can also be very, very important in supporting mothers, because it's not just a question of watching out for violations, it's also a question of creating the support networks that are necessary to help the mothers breastfeed. Please, Juan Andres has something to tell us on several questions. Please go ahead, Juan. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Adelheid. My name is Juan Andres Gil. I am a Communication for Development Specialist in the regional office of UNICEF in Dakar. I just wanted to react generally to, there are several questions around shifting the slogans or how to find the right term to make the idea of, to understand to make the idea of exclusive or only breast milk to everyone, and even questions about the importance of conducting prior assessments before as an initial step. And so I would say that I saw that Adelheid already replied to this last question, and that's a must. I would say that that's something that is an essential part of the process. And the fact that we have a good number of tools at the regional level, we would never advise to just get the tools and use them directly. I mean, the adaptation of the tools is essential, and thanks also to the team, because the tools are already in a format that can be edited and changed. So yes, definitely initial assessment and analysis, it can be depending on the evidence that is available in every single country, but we need to use evidence to understand the situation, address the bottlenecks, and adapt the materials accordingly, and also define the activities accordingly. This could affect, for instance, the example of involving parents, and eventually they need to involve parents. Part of the research and analysis that we need to do is which are the actors, according to this socio-ecological model that has been presented by Anne-Sophie, which are the actors that have an influence and have a say, and how can we work with them? So that's absolutely essential. So we advise, our advice to every single country is to really make this research and analysis before making any decisions, and use this information to build and adapt. And similarly, just to finish with the how to find the right term or the right wording, or how to explain in local language what the the idea of only breast milk. Similarly to the idea of conducting formative research, there is also the idea of co-producing, co-creation of materials with community members, with people we find as representative of the people we will want to address with our interventions. So even from very early stages, there's nothing but involving not only social researchers or other specialists that can orient us on us, but even doing consultations with these representatives from the communities with the right profiles to find out what will be the right wording. Of course, yes, we will need to use whatever wording works in the given context, as far as the message is the same, remains the same. So that's and finally, not only co-create but pre-test, also a necessary step. And you will see all this in the toolkit. That materials ideally, even before being definitely produced, should be pre-tested at community level. This is maybe technicalities for the process, but there is a lot of information on that on the toolkit, and it's part of the support and guidance that as regional teams we're ready to provide. Over.
Thank you very much, Juan. And I think Nathalie, you also wanted to respond live. I'm now taking note of these notes in the Q&A. You had there's a question that you wanted to respond to live, and that is regarding the SBC materials and resource materials. Would you like to come in on that then, Nathalie?
Sure, Adelheid, thank you. I actually wanted to type it, and unfortunately I answered live, but I will. So Brenda Suleiman shared that she's not seeing the SBC materials on the website. So there are advocacy and fact sheets. So that may be the case, and my apologies. However, there is the Dropbox folder and the link which will be provided on the PowerPoint presentation, whereby you will be able to access the full set of materials. If there are some materials missing on breastmilkonly.com right now, they will be put up in the very near future. And Adelheid, could I take just 1 minute maybe to bounce off of what Juan was just sharing?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I just wanted to emphasize what Juan was saying about the adaptation of materials. There are many ways in which and it's to fulfill this critical and essential step in tailoring the materials. And I need to just underline the fact that while these materials have been developed with both evidence in terms of quantitative data, but also a full set of literature, a full set of peer-reviewed journal and grade literature that was taken into account to understand what the main social and behavioral determinants of exclusive breastfeeding are in the region. Notwithstanding, it's really very critical that all of the materials that are presented be adapted to each country's context and tailored by means of by using evidence, as well as working with communities and families. Another point I wanted to make is just invite participants who are here online now to have a look at the logo, because I think that the logo speaks a lot to the campaign and to the dynamics around infant and young child feeding in the region. And in the logo, you can see a baby being cradled by the mother, who is very much surrounded by the father as well as the grandmother. And we felt that it was essential to place the grandmother as a very important actor and influencer of infant and young child feeding. So not only breastfeeding, but also beyond. And there's been some really very interesting research that's been done in the region around the role of grandmothers as carers, advisors, and influencers of caring practices for from birth and beyond, and towards, up to 5 years of life. And so placing the grandmother there as a lead actor and a lead person to consider in any country intervention was important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are going to have to move forward very quickly so as to do the poll. Panelists, I request you to look at the Q&A because there's several questions, a couple of questions there that could do with a response. And a colleague from Nigeria, Sadiq Nasiru, tells us that continued support and capacity building of community mobilizers, for example, the volunteer community mobilizers used in UNICEF to reach the last person in the community with knowledge regarding health promotion and other primary health needs of the community will go a long way in achieving our goal of this project. So this is from Nigeria. So I let that pass, and I'm going to take us now to the next item, which is we want to do a poll on your reactions. So some of the questions that have already been put forward in the presentation on the blended learning program, they open the way for us then to now ask your questions, give us your feedback on very, very short, straightforward questions that we are now requesting you to respond to. Please, may I ask, I think it's Juan?
Anne-Sophie.
Anne-Sophie, sorry. Anne-Sophie, please, can you put up the poll? Thank you.
Thank you, Adelheid. I'm launching the poll.
So participants, please click on the answer. Each person has a free hand to click on an answer for each of those questions, and then we will get your opinions. Please go ahead, look at your screen and give us which regional follow-up mechanism would you prefer? Is it the option 1, quarterly follow-up calls, 2 hours long, a quarterly follow-up calls of 1.5 hours long, and a quarterly reports? Option 3, quarterly sharing webinars and a quarterly report. And then the second question, would you be interested in participating in a blended learning program in French? It's going to include both distance and face-to-face learning on the topic of using social and behavior change approach for improving maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. Yes, no, or maybe. So we are not allowed to vote, but please, colleagues, let's hear what you think. And this will eventually get to the English speaking countries. So please feel free to vote, even if it says French. Anne-Sophie, I give you a free hand to move forward when you have received.
Thanks, Adelheid. It's well noted. We have about 1/3 of participants who have already responded to the poll. So let's take a few more seconds so that we have, at least maybe 75%.
Okay, colleagues, please, let's hear what you think.
40%.
Anne-Sophie, apparently there's one participant who cannot access the poll. Do we know if there's an issue at their end?
I know that panelists cannot access the poll, but I'm not aware of any other, restriction.
Okay, so it's probably just a system glitch. Sorry about that for the participants who can't access.
We have now reached 55%.
Okay, that's good.
And now 60%.
Okay.
So it's quite okay. I think that we may end pooling.
Okay.
Okay, I can end pooling
Yes.
and share the results. Okay.
I think so.
Here are the results, Adelheid, for you to comment.
Okay, very good. So thank you very much for this feedback. And we note that the majority of those who responded to the first question on the follow-up mechanism, it's on the quarterly sharing webinars, where 63% of the respondents would prefer this mode of keeping in touch and supporting one another to make progress. So that's already feedback to us. And then on the second question, those who would like to, who might be interested in participating, we have at least 61% of our participants who would be interested in the blended learning. So clearly there's some appetite for it. I know that some of our participants are from, really from all over the world. We have people from the US, from Bangladesh, from other parts of the world. So maybe this was not, they couldn't respond to these questions, but we thank you very much, those who've taken time to respond, and would be willing to organize what responds to the needs of you know, the countries that we are here to serve. We are coming to the end of that. Anne-Sophie, was there another question?
Yes, there is a third question.
Yes, please put it up now.
Can you see it on your screen?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. It's weird because it's on my screen. It's on Simeon's screen too, so it's, I don't know why, but I can go through it if you want, if you cannot see it on your screen. The third question is related to the thematic area.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's close. Oh, I think we need to close and then put it up again. Let's see if it comes through.
Okay, let me try.
No, it still comes back.
No.
No, it's still brought back the previous question, the results from the previous question.
So I can go through maybe this question very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that other participants can see the screen and answers to this third question, which was related to which thematic area would you want to focus on during the blended learning program. 75% of it was a multiple choice question. And we can see that 75% of participants are interested by the Stronger with Breastmilk Only initiative, which also includes early initiation of breastfeeding and the code and everything related to maternity protection. And generally speaking, everything related to the protection of breastfeeding. 45% of participants are interested in the first foods agenda, which is related to improving young children's diets. And 55% are interested in maternal nutrition. Over to you, Adelheid.
Okay, so that tells us that there is interest in all those, and I'm sure we'll also see what the participants in the French webinar have to tell us. But clearly, this is this Stronger with Breastmilk is very attractive. At least it's the most attractive among them. And since in fact it's where we are starting from, I think we can then be confident as we move forward with supporting the countries that would like to do this follow-up. Plus, I'm very glad to see that there is an interest in maternal nutrition, because we tend to forget sometimes that mother's nutrition is also important in its own right. We will take these, the feedback we have received, and digest it, talk about it with in the partnership, and then see how we can respond to what the requests that are coming back to us. So, colleagues, thank you very much. I would like to now hand over to Simeon to make concluding remarks.
Okay, thank you, Adelheid. I would like to start by saying a great thanks to all the participants. By this time of the year, having a webinar to which close to 200 participants have registered for, and at some point on my screen, I was seeing close to 120 participants. I think it is great. And I would like to thank you for the interest. I would like also to thank Adelheid for the great facilitation and moderation. Before we close, I wanted to maybe come back to a number of points that to me seems to be important and transpiring from the discussion today. First of all, it is the objective of this initiative. It is a multi-country regional initiative that have been designed intentionally to reduce or remove water from the feeding of infants less than 6 months, with the ultimate objective of helping countries to improve breastfeeding rate and move faster toward achieving the World Health Assembly targets on exclusive breastfeeding. It is done in a way that we are leveraging on several platforms to try to improve the behavior of the community through communication, but also working and creating an environment that is favorable to exclusive breastfeeding at country level. I would also like to recall that during the presentation, we alluded to a number of tools, essential tools that have been designed to help the design, the adaptation, and the implementation of the initiative. And those tools, for those of us who would like to take the same route, would need to be adapted to your specific context at the national or subnational level. We also would like to recall that Stronger with Breast Milk Only should not be seen as a new and another standalone initiative, and it should be integrated to already existing initiatives and programs. And that integration, we believe, would facilitate a rapid scale-up in sustainability and also lead us faster to the desired change and create. It is also important for us in the spirit of the continuum of care to make sure that we create links between this initiative and other initiatives such as the First Food, which is aiming to improve complementary feeding for children. It is important, although we know that several countries in this region have signed up to this initiative, many of them have launched it. It is important now for us to engage in monitoring. It's important to monitor and see how countries are progressing and make adjustments, and if needed, readjust and develop additional documents to support them. We believe that this is also an initiative that will create a great opportunity for exchange, south to south exchange between countries who are engaged but at different stages, so that we can create a platform for learning and cross-fertilization between countries. It is also important, we believe, for such a multi-country initiative to have a strong coordination and information sharing. And we really would like to welcome the interest of participants and the motivation and in proposing coordination mechanism and learning opportunities. It is encouraging, and we are hopeful that this would lead us to establishing a solid coordination mechanism, and at the regional level, we remain available to support. I would also like to mention that and confirm that we will follow up on the call that we had and the discussion in 2021. We will continue having webinars and presentation. And by the way, starting from this webinar, we will make sure that all the presentations, all the Q&A question and answers that we've gone through, some of them got answers, others did not, but I would like to reassure everyone that we will get back to them and we will respond systematically to all the questions. And we will post all this information on the website, together with with the recording of the today webinar, which will also be made available for you. We would like to encourage all participants to connect, to innovate and co-create, and to make it possible, because this regional momentum is crucial to better protect and support and promote optimal breastfeeding practices in the region in order to reach the World Health Assembly target and the SDGs, and make a long-lasting difference for millions of children and families and communities in the region. And we count on all of you, your engagement and your commitment. And I would like to end by reiterating and calling upon you all to join the WhatsApp group, and to remind you that the website of the initiative is www.breastmilkonly.com. On this note, I would turn it back to Adelheid, with once again saying a great thanks to all of you for your time and for your active participation.
Okay, thank you very much, Simeon. Thank you very much, colleagues who have stayed with us and stayed the course until the end. We look forward to seeing you at future events online and live when we have the opportunity. And I wish you all well and safe. Please keep well, keep safe, and all the best to you and your families. Bye for now.
I realize that Adelheid is not with us, and without further ado, we are going to end this webinar on some notes, musical notes from Niger Republic. Thank you once again, and have a great evening and a great day.
Oh, you couldn't hear me?